All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everyone on the planet in between and then some, even those off planet. I know, kind of far out there. My name is Matt. This is another episode of the Financial Life Podcast, but this episode is another segment of the Winchester Wednesdays to highlight, feature, promote, bring attention to the businesses in Winchester, Virginia. And today, I have somebody that reached out to me on Facebook who I don't know too much about, but I know enough about. But we're going to find out more about them today through this little episode, and all that stuff. And before I get into that, I gotta do my shameless promotion. Some of you know, some of you may not know. I help people with certain things like financial literacy, a little bit of credit, some coaching, stuff like that. If you'd like some help with it, you can book a call. It's free. Go to speakwithmatt.info. Again, speakwithmatt.info. Just put that in, no trip W. And this episode is also sponsored by Born to Risk. And that's on one of the books that I helped to co-author. One of the authors of what you'd like copy, reach out to me. That being said, I'd like to introduce my guest, John Moore of MPT. And we're going to break down what he does, all that stuff, how he helps the local community. Because I know, John, you do quite a bit. And just you're like, yeah, as you joke around, I don't do enough. So let me add 10 more things on my plate. So I thank you for being on, man. How you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, happy Wednesday and rain.
You know.
Hmm.
At the time that we record this, all this stuff. So, John, have you always lived in Winchester, or where'd you kind of?
No. Actually, my wife and I moved out here with our kids in 2000. So we're
Okay.
from Northern Virginia, Leesburg area, and we did the typical. We want to buy a house, so we moved over the mountain.
Oh,
And
through the
yeah, I
woods.
know, like, that's a hill. It
Right.
was a mountain when we first went over it, and now like it's a hill.
There we go. Okay. And you've been here since then.
Yes, we love it here. We love it's small enough. We're just hoping it doesn't, keep creeping this way, which it kind of is a little bit, but hopefully it'll stifle a little
A
and not
little
get
bit.
too crazy.
I don't
Yeah.
know because I went to the Hobnob celebration or event. That was, I think it was like end of last month, something like that. And they were saying that Winchester is the fastest growing city or area in the state of Virginia currently right now. And I can see it. I know you see all the new construction going on because we need new houses because the housing inventory is still not up to par. But yeah, it's definitely grown. So
Yeah. Once we see our first overpass, then we know we're in trouble.
that's true. It's like, wait a minute, but hey, I'm from Maryland originally out in Gaithersburg, so I'm like, yeah, I'll be because I'm from suburbs. I could never really be out in an area where it's just you're just out there. I'm like, nah, I can visit here for like a week or weekend that I'm leaving. That's my taste. But Winchester has a nice balance of that. It's got its city suburban area, but it also has that I guess country life to it as well a little bit. You ain't gotta drive that far, you know what I mean? So yeah, so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So I see that you I was gonna ask you. We were first when we were first talking, you have like a lot of like cats and stuff and dogs. You pretty much have a farm for the most part.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, like, I'll give you what the everything means,
Yeah.
if that helps, and then we'll kind of go. So when I started, I was at a gym back in the day, and well, I was an IT guy first, so my background was IT. I'm not a techie,
Hmm.
but I did IT for a living because there is a difference. It paid my bills and did all that stuff. So when our kids got married, moved out, we were like, what do we want to do? And
Yeah.
that point, we had started doing health and wellness type things, and we got into fitness. And we both decided, my wife and I, that we wanted to become full-time trainers. So we went from the IT world of money to training none. So I always joke and tell people, if you remember what it was like when you're in your 20s and you're struggling and you're trying to make it in life, and even if you get married early, because we got married young, that whole struggle that you go through, if
Hmm.
you want to enjoy that again, just start a business in your 40s and you'll do it all over again. So that's exactly what we did. So we left the IT world, went to a gym, worked full time. And then I was there, I think, a year and a half roughly. And then I left there and started my own training business. So that was in 2015.
Okay.
And we've been around since then. But I started it off, it was called More Personal Training. And I found that people would always look and see the name and say, oh, I don't want a trainer or I don't need a trainer. And I was like, well, we think everybody needs a trainer because there's umpteen reasons why you need one. And
Right.
so I changed the name. We changed the name from More Personal Training to More Personal Transformations, and that would spark a like a conversation. And people would say, "Oh, what does that mean?" So we would explain that doing transformations would be a lot of stuff. It could be your food, your sleep habits, your mental state, whatever. So we
Right.
went through all of that, and then some of that would include personal training, but not always. I
Right.
have some people that I've worked with that it wasn't really about the training part. They had that nailed down. It was everything else that they needed help with.
Right.
And it all goes together. Like it all, if one thing's out of whack, they're all out of whack.
Yeah,
So
because
we do that, and we went from More Personal Transformations. I wanted to get a cool website, so we kind of shrunk it down to make a logo look a little better because More Personal Transformations is kind of big.
yeah.
So we went to MPT only, which was kind of neat, and that's like on the shirt, like MPT.
Now.
But I had to change it a little because MPT.com is Maryland Public Television, so I
Oh,
couldn't get
no, you're not
it.
gonna get that. They're like, no, we're not giving that up.
Yeah, people would ask me, "Oh, are you from Maryland Public Television?" I'm like, "No, no, no." So we just threw the now on there, and that's where we got the name. So it's
Okay.
kind of stupid, but that's where that came from. And like with the whole transformation thing, our names changed, our colors have changed. We used to have like 4 different colors. That's just dumb. Trying to print that, you can't print that on your own. So
Right.
it's like, no, no. So we ended up switching colors, and so we've gone through our own transformation over the years. And when we first started this, we were in the back of our house. So we were there. When we bought the house, it had a big extension on the back, which was nice for the kids, but that became our training studio and we used that for 7 years before we totally moved out of there,
Yeah.
which was just 2 years ago into the space we're in now. And for a while we had two spaces. We were down the end of this street actually, and at our house for about a year, not quite a year. So we're coming up on 9 years in November.
Okay.
We've been on our own doing this, and we're having a blast.
Sounds like it. Nice. Maryland Public Television. You're like, it's not what we're about. It's a gym and put the now in there. All right, MPT now. Okay. No,
Yeah.
I like how because when we first spoke, you like I said, you're not like personal training where it's like you work out and stuff and they talk about you're like eating, but you're what you said, if someone's coming from work to a session with you and you're like, well, how was work? They're like, it's fine. Like, you're like, no, how was work? Because that's gonna have an impact or influence on your working out. Like, do we have to punch bags or something, whatever? Because it's all integrated versus, all right, you came for work, shitty day, and now you're here trying to work out and your workout's not going as well as you'd like it to because you're dealing with some
Yep.
stuff perfectly for that.
And it's funny because I've learned, like we were trained by some of the best, like one in particular, and we were taught like if you come in and you're in a bad mood, we need to sit you down and have a conversation with you and kind of find out what's going on and let it go before we start working out.
Yeah.
Uh, the logic there was that if you work out in a bad mood, you're going to associate the bad mood with the workout. And I found it just the opposite. So I'm like, let's go. And we're going to, so I drag
Right.
in. So we might hit something. And then while you're hitting something, you're telling me what the problem is. So
Uh,
it literally comes out and into the bag or whatever you're hitting or whatever you're doing. So a lot of times it's your therapy to let it go by using that. Then you realize, oh, if I work out, I feel better about that situation because I can deal with it. Where
right.
if we just sit down, now you're just going through like a typical therapy session, which you're not going to necessarily talk about it or do whatever, but you will if you're beating the crap out of something.
That makes sense. I like that. I like that approach versus like sit there and talk about it like I want to do this right now versus punch the bag, whatever, and like saying it, and then you're like, all right, cool, it's off my chest, and I process it. Now I can move on and and enjoy my workout for the day,
Yeah.
and look forward
We
to
have
going.
a slam ball. We've got a slam ball, and basically it's like whose face are you hitting? Like who like we'll
I
ask
like that.
like
Oh,
yeah,
that's brilliant. Oh, I hate this. Oh, dude. And you're like, okay, I'm done.
like they're
Oh,
like they won't tell me names and I don't need to know that, but
right,
they know who they're smashing.
right. Ooh, ooh.
But it's
Yeah,
fun though. It's a lot of fun.
it sounds like fun. I need to come along and just be like, here's a face. I hate this. Do you have a physical location or is you a hybrid? Because and then I want to get into as well, like actually no, hold on. Let's go back. 2015 started and then prior to COVID, how were things? Because we'll get into that.
They were good. I mean, we were gradually building, the typical. It was a little harder when you're not at an actual gym because
Yeah,
I don't have any, I can just walk around my living room or whatever and go, hey, you need a trainer. There's nobody there.
right.
So I had to actively go out and find people, which was a lot harder. Especially in January. I had this whole mindset because if you've ever been to a gym the first week of January, it's wall to wall people. And it's actually, I thought it was Valentine's Day, but it's actually, I think there's an actual date. It's January 18th or 17th is called the quit day. And people will literally quit a gym that fast. Yeah.
Wow.
So when we did that, so we had to find all the people and we kind of did, and we used Facebook only. We didn't advertise. And then we word of mouth. So we had threw a wrench in everything.
Yeah.
It was funny though. Here was the mentality of the people though. It was kind of funny. Our people, because we were so small, our people stayed home, a lot of them.
Yep.
But then the people from the bigger gyms came to us. So everybody shifted down a level,
Right.
size.
The
Yeah.
the irony of it all, it's like, because you told me, and I was like, how does that make sense? But I mean, people are going to do. It's like, if I guess the mindset is my, or the thought process, when more going out somewhere, I need to go do at the gym, let me go here. I wish I had known you when when it happened, because my girlfriend, she was going to the gym. I had a gym membership at the time. I was working from home, and it was kind of rough on her. I wish I had known, and then I'd be like, hey, here's John. He can help you out virtually, or just go there and just do it, and just do work it that way, because it helps get the house and do work out elsewhere versus being home all the time, varied up a bit.
Well, we switched over to when they shut everybody down. We did comply, and we ended up doing a lot of like Zoom workouts. And it was funny because we had people in their garage, bench or like bicep curling drills and whatever they could pick up.
Whatever they
So
can get, it still counts.
so people, they still did it. It was just it was not, I would say, not the best scenario,
Yeah.
but it worked. We made it through, and it was funny because we hit our 5-year anniversary mid COVID. It was
Oof.
like, so we made it through that. I think we're doing okay.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
so
the
we made it.
test.
Yeah, it was kind of funny though because we're like, yay, we're mid COVID, and there's nobody here, and we're celebrating. And there was like nobody there.
A nice time to really look at things and go, all right, we're here. What do we do going forward as we get through this? Um,
Yeah.
what did you guys come up with at that time when you're like, it's 5th anniversary, middle of pandemic? Like, what were your thoughts, and what did you decide to go from there, like to aim for? Was it just to let's maintain it, or like, you know what, we can do this, let's take it to the next level?
Well, we never really thought that we were never going to make it. That was kind of weird. Like, and people always ask me when I left the gym because I left the gym with no clients. I just left on a Friday. Like I had time, and they knew I was leaving,
Yeah,
but I didn't set anything up prior to like, hey, here's my group of people coming.
yeah,
So people ask me, they're like, well, what was your plan if you failed? And I was like, uh, I never really thought about failing. So I didn't have a backup plan because I just said, we're going to make it work. And it was never a thought that, oh, this might not happen. So same thing with COVID. We're like, well, we'll just keep going. We're not going to, it'll rearrange things. It might look a little different.
yeah.
And then when we did get back, we did the social distancing as best we could.
Of course.
But then after that, we were like, everything just kind of stayed the same. And we lost some people, like, just like a typical gym area, you're going to lose people, and then we would gain people, and people come and go, and it's part of the nature of the beast.
Gotcha. I like how you said, people ask you, what's your plan if you fail? And you're like, I think about that because I wasn't seeing myself failing. I'm gonna make it
Yeah,
work.
yeah, it literally wasn't
A
okay, if
thought.
this doesn't work, this is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
It never was that. So we just hit the ground. It was funny because my wife stayed at the gym for 6 months after I left.
Hmm.
And then she finally joined me. So it was the two of us. So I was by myself for 6 months. And then she joined, and she's still hanging out doing stuff too. But she's got her own pet sitting business now, which is crazy busy. And she likes to rope me into that a lot, especially on the weekends.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's
we're
it.
running.
Interesting. Question on this. When to further kind of continue on you when you said you didn't have a plan about failing or a backup plan. What are your thoughts on that? Like if someone's doing something, do you think people, if they're going to do a business, like you did, you went out on this faith, like just okay, I'm going to do it. Do you think people should have a backup plan or just be like, no, just work it and just be flexible and change as things require you to do so?
So that's a tough one because there's two sides to that. Like
Yeah.
my thought is, if you have a backup plan, you always know you have a backup plan. So you may not try quite as hard to do what it is you're trying to accomplish because you know, well, I got this to fall back on.
Right.
So it depends on how your brain works, I think. If
Hmm.
you're I'm going to do whatever I have to do to get there, then maybe you don't, maybe even having a backup plan won't get in your way.
Yeah.
But some people they will literally in the back of their head, that'll get in the way of moving forward just
Right.
because they know they have it. So I don't know. I can't really say you should or shouldn't. I think it all depends on you,
Yeah.
and if you look at your own history and find out like what have you done in your past? Did you need a backup plan? Did you have one and you really didn't need it? I think it all depends on you.
It's a good answer because it's an argument in the entrepreneur world. People can make the argument I've heard like you shouldn't have a backup plan and because you won't put in much effort into it, and then people are like, well, you should, and it's like, I like your answer. I agree with you on that. It should be based upon the individual. If it works best, you have something cool, because you don't want to be going to work stressed out and just tense all the time. You want to be cool, calm, relaxed, and ground as much as you can, and then you can function and do stuff like getting enough sleep at night. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
That's a big one right there. Um, so what are things? Okay, so from your experience with working out, what you do and exercise, like what are some things you see that to this day in the industry and fitness that you see that you're like, this is not helpful, it's inefficient, it's causing injury, or maybe there's some beliefs or narrative out there that's still being taught to us about how you should work out, and people are doing it, and they don't wonder why it's not working for them. That you're like, this is the truth, this is how it works. Do this, you'll be fine.
Well, I think with the whole, well, we're not cookie cutter people, like, so not every workout's going to be good for everyone.
Yeah.
And that's why I was saying before that I think everybody needs a trainer because my job is to find out what your body needs and what it wants and how does it move and how do we tweak it to make it so you don't hurt yourself. So there's tons of programs out there that they just don't address that. And like I've been involved in extreme workout type stuff and they're fun and they're rah rah, but that rah rah can put you over a limit
Yeah.
where you shouldn't be going.
Yeah.
uh and like that's my thing is I will pull you back from that if you start to go there, and I don't think you're supposed to be there. So I think it's more of it just has to be a what exactly does your body need to accomplish your goal. And
Yeah.
you can't, it's not generic, like you can't pick up something. It's like diets, they don't work for everybody.
Right.
Because I tell people with food, I said, one, we never talk about diets because we never do a diet. Like it's a lifestyle. You need to find out what your body needs. It has to tweak on a regular basis because you're not the same every day. Uh, and the big thing is we all have the same basic nutritional needs, but how we process all the other stuff is very different. So
Mm.
you can't, like I can, some people look at bread and gain weight. I can eat bread all day. It does nothing. So it's like that. It just, you need to know your body. And the biggest thing with food and for your body to accomplish something. And that's all your food is. That doesn't mean you can't enjoy your food
Yeah.
and cheat on then. But if you're putting the food in to accomplish something, then your food is fine. You're not going to have a problem. But you have to think about it. But we flip it and we go, I'm going to eat all the crap and then I'm going to go exercise to burn that off. It's like that's not how this works. You have to
Yeah.
go, okay, I need to exercise like this today. So this is what I need to feed my body to accomplish that. Now, I've actually said to people, some of the people that I've met, their food that they're feeding is feeding their body to become morbidly obese. And it is what it is. Like if you know that and then we can move forward.
Right.
No, it's like you need to be real with your food. And I'm not a big fan of counting calories and macros and all that stuff. That doesn't mean there's not a place for it, but the average person, if they're doing all that, there's an unhealthy relationship with food already.
Hmm.
And that's just, it shouldn't be like that. Like, you should not have to go that level to get where you want to go, you know? So like I help people track their food and we tweak it. Like I'm not a dietitian or a nutritionist.
Hmm.
I can help you pick and choose some of the things you might want to adjust. Like, and the way I do it is if you're getting ready to eat a meal, you take a picture of what you're going to eat and you send it to me right then. So now I can see what you're eating and when. So I can see how often you eat and
Yeah.
what you're putting in your body.
Right.
And it's super easy. And then I'm like, and I'll give you an example. Like people say, oh, I don't eat bread. That's a big one for a lot of people. They say they don't think they eat a lot of bread. And I'll look at like an entire week worth of stuff. And then we analyze it. And they're like, look, I didn't eat that much bread. And then I start looking, I'm like, okay, that piece of bread with peanut butter on it that you had for breakfast,
Yeah.
that was bread. The wrap you had for lunch was bread.
Yeah.
The, the great tuna salad you had with those crackers, that was bread. And
Ah.
like, I had bread every meal. I'm like, you did. So that's
Mm,
so it's just little things like that kind of thing.
gotcha.
So it's
Little
like
things that we don't look at. Right. Right. Right.
yeah, it's
And
just tweaking.
yeah, and I like how you said you did it in like things to adjust and not stuff to like avoid. I mean, obviously there's things we should avoid, obviously, but it's like with your approach is let's adjust and tweak things versus you can't have this, you can't have that. And then because then what happens is you as a human being naturally, instantaneously, are gonna be like, I want this, I want that, I gotta have it. And then it makes it difficult for people to follow, and then there's willpower and also crap going on. And it's just like, let's adjust and tweak. That
Yeah.
sounds
It's
way
like with
more enjoyable to do and easier and sustainable than cut this out, cut this out, cut this out. And you're like, well, damn, this sucks.
yeah. And it's like with the cheat meal. Like you can eat the bad stuff. You have to plan it. If you plan it, there's no guilt. Like if you're going out on a Friday night and you know you're going to go to a restaurant and you want to eat something bad, you plan that meal, the meal, not the weekend. You plan the meal and you just eat it with no guilt, you know?
Right.
It's like it's fine. One meal that's not healthy in a week is not going to destroy all the good stuff you've done the rest of the week. It's when you don't plan it and then all of a sudden you grab this and then you grab that and you gotta, it's, you have to just remember every time you take something you shouldn't and it wasn't planned, it just snowballs.
Yeah, yeah, it does. If people think, oh, I ate this meal, and like, no, it's not how life works. Jack, it would
Yeah.
be if you had one meal and instantly it undid everything. You just went right. You would, it wouldn't make any sense.
So
All
there's a
sorts.
book that I recommend that everybody read. It's called The Slight Edge. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I haven't read it. I heard the audio
Oh,
of it years ago.
it's really, it's not a very big book. It's really small, but I'll give you an example of the concept of the slight edge. So it's a concept that is working for you or against you. If you're aware of it, you can take advantage of it. If you're not aware of it, it's working against you. And this is an example of it. It's almost like your choices compound daily, right? What you do. So the question is, if you ate a cheeseburger, nasty, fat, greasy cheeseburger today, would you wake up tomorrow morbidly obese and have a heart attack?
No.
No, but that decision compounded over time
Oh
could
God.
get you there, right?
Right. Right.
So now on the flip side, if you ate the perfect meal today, it was everything you needed, nutrition, no, nothing extra, nothing bad. Would you wake up the perfect size and the epitome of health tomorrow?
No.
Like, but again, that decision compounded over time will get you there. But here's the problem with it. This is the slight edge part. When we make a decision right now, we don't go back and look at the last one, right?
Right.
If I'm getting ready to eat that cheeseburger, I don't look at the one that I ate last time or the one before that or the one before that. So it's a brand new decision. And I'm like, oh, let's have the cheeseburger. Right. But if I look and go, wait a minute, I had one, I had one, I had one, I should probably not do that. So that's the slight edge. If you're not paying attention to what you're doing, it will snowball. And next, you're like, how did I get here?
Right.
So that's what the book's about. And it's one of
Yeah.
those, it's like to me, it's the precursor to all self-help books. Because you can read all the self-help books in the world, but if you don't do anything what they say, you've wasted your time
Yeah.
because you read the book and you put it down, and then you go forward and you get another book and you read that and you put it down. You've not done anything, right?
Right.
You're just wasting your time. But if you pay attention to the slight edge, those self-help books will actually move you forward. So
Yeah.
it's a great book though. It's and then somebody read that and then created another one called The Compound Effect, which is basically the slight edge on steroids. Like it's much bigger, a little bit more in depth, but the slight edge is the way to start. It's
Huh.
a small book.
I'm gonna see if that's available on Spotify Premium. If you didn't know, Spotify, if you have peaked out, they'll you can get like the audiobooks for that stuff. So I'll check that out. But it's called The Compound Effect.
Well, the slight edge is the first one,
Right.
and then the compound effect is the second one. It's a lot bigger book. They're both very good though, but the slight edge is kind of right to the point.
Yeah. I remember because I heard I listened to the audio of the Slight Edge back in like 2008 to 2009, and that was very good. And it's totally like it's about boom, one thing, and then and like, oh, how did I get here? And that's what's nice. It's just small things over time that we do, and then we don't take that time to have the awareness to constantly go, all right, what am I doing? Oh, this makes sense, and it's going one direction then. Because I think you also mentioned in the comment effect, in the Slight Edge, that if you keep going direction that doesn't serve you, it takes more energy and time to correct and go in the other direction that you want. You can
Right.
still do it, it's just harder because
Yeah.
you programmed yourself at that point to do that habit behavior. And it's like trying to turn a giant ship around, you know, and then go back in the direction versus, oh, hey, stop doing it now, and then going from there. So
Yeah. Exactly.
it's on here. Cool. Found it. The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. Right.
What's that?
The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Got it. I was into that today. Cool. But it's a lot for whatever though. So cool. All right. No, that I'm glad you mentioned that. Having that book as a precursor and helping people understand because my girlfriend's talking about like, oh, I had this meal and I've heard people. I'm like, it's not gonna throw you off if you've been doing it every day for
Yeah.
a month. Yeah, you're gonna see it. You're gonna see some change. Um, have you? Let me ask this, dude. Let me ask you if you feel like this as well. Have you ever like had like a cheat day or like I don't know, maybe it was a day you're eating healthy. You're like when you're big in health, you eat right, you exercise and all that stuff, right? You ever have like a day where you got on vacation or something, and did that day you have like you may start off with a healthy breakfast, but like the lunch and the dinner is totally not it's like fast food, and then you kind of go like your body says we shouldn't do this again for a long time at the very least. Like you're not sick, you didn't have food poisoning, anything, but internally it's like we're not going to do this again for a while. We're good. I get
Funny
like
you
this.
asked.
Does that
Yeah.
happen to you?
That day that you're talking about was Sunday.
Oh, it's recent.
Like for real, like no kidding. We were like I told you, my wife ropes me into her pet sitting, so we were running all over the place,
Mhm.
and we didn't have time to go home and make anything good. So we literally did the let's go grab this, let's go grab that. By Sunday night, I felt like I was 4 months pregnant. Like I'm like, oh, this is not fun. So my body was going, "You're an idiot." You
Yeah.
know,
One meal
was the food
fine,
good?
not
Yeah,
compounded. You're like done.
yeah. It was like one day I was like, oh, but was the food good? Yeah.
That's how they get you.
Was
Yeah.
it good for me? No,
No,
no.
no, no.
Like
No,
I
that
will admit, like I like all the bad stuff. So like even when I'm training people, I'm not going to tell people don't eat stuff. Like if you're going to eat it, you're going to eat it, but you just need to know when to put it in and how much of it. That's all.
moderation.
Because once you eliminate something, that's what you're going to crave, and that's what you're going to cave on, and you're going to just overdo. So it's
I
like
like
you
that.
can't eliminate everything unless you have a medical condition, but then you got to learn to live with that. But
Right.
outside of that, you just want that McDonald's cheeseburger every now and then. It's not going to kill you to have one, every now and then. I mean, maybe it will just because they're Montreal,
Terrible.
probably.
Maybe not McDonald's. Wendy's is a little better. It's a bit better, or Five Guys, for example. That's better quality still. But like you said, you do it once in a while, you're fine. Like treat yourself. It's all good, you know. It's what you do the majority of the time and consistently. That's what matters, you know. All that stuff. Like I don't know how some people always eat out like a lot, like every day or something. I've seen that, and I'm like, how do you do that? Because
Yeah.
like you just said, like if we have like two fast food meals back to back in a day, we're like, I don't want to do this again. Like,
Yeah. And the funny
no,
thing is, a lot of people, there's people that have the genes where they can eat that stuff every day and they look fine. They are not gaining all the weight and all that stuff from it, but they're destroying their insides. It's
yeah,
not, they're not healthy. Just because people are thin, that doesn't make them healthy.
right,
It just makes them thin. So it's like you need to be taking care of the inside as well as the outside. So
yeah.
I always laugh and go, "Oh, I can eat whatever I want. I'm thin." I'm like, that doesn't. You,
It
you can
doesn't
still
mean,
drop.
yeah, it doesn't mean you're not putting yourself the slight edge towards disease
Yeah,
down the line at some point, you know.
but
Um,
that'll catch up. That does catch up eventually.
yeah.
It'll catch up to you. I mean, eventually, putting all that bad stuff in your body will be like, enough, enough. Look what I can do, and give you all the bad stuff.
Ugh, I won't do that. Um, you also have a nonprofit, right?
We started 3 nonprofits because,
Okay,
like,
so I was wrong. You had three nonprofits. You have one. I got three. Okay, Mr. Show Off.
yeah, they're not none of them are like really big and actively going crazy right now. But we started the first one, and it was the fitness one. Obviously, it's called the Free Fit Foundation because the number one reason people say they don't have a trainer is they can't afford it. Now, that what that means sometimes is that it's not a priority because, like, if you're going to Starbucks, you could afford it. It's just not a priority. You want to
Right.
go to Starbucks 5 times a day. So there's that. But there are people that truly like just cannot afford. Their budget will not allow it. So the Free Fit Foundation raises money specifically to pay for personal training. That's all it does. So money comes in, we actually pay the trainer, and then the trainer makes sure the client shows up. It's that's how that works. We have, it's called, in the pet realm, we had a cat that my wife found, I guess it was 3 years ago now, when she was pet sitting, and we brought the little thing. It was a little teeny kitten. She brought it home, and we're like, "Why'd you bring a cat home?" And we had gotten 2 puppies at that point, and we're like, "Why do we have a cat in the house?"
Yeah.
And the cat's eyes were nasty and messed up, and it was awful. So we found out that the cat had to have both eyes removed, and they said it was $2,000, and it was like they needed to do the surgery in 2 days. And we're like, we don't have $2,000 laying around for that. So we went to Facebook and said, "Hey, people, we wanted to get the puppies. That's on us. But this cat was a rescue. We are not. That wasn't our idea. So we need some help." And by that evening, we had the whole thing covered. So we
Wow.
realized there's a lot of people out there like us. So we named the cat Lynx. She's doing great now. She got, well, now she has 5 brothers and sisters in the house, but she's doing fine. And we started the Lynx Foundation, and that money is raised just to pay for any kind of vet bill at all. It doesn't have to be rescue. If you've had an animal for 10 years and there's a surgery that they could do or put them down, a lot of times you're going to go with the cheaper option. So our goal is to have enough money in there that you can call them, we'll say, do the surgery, we'll pay it right now. So that's what that's for. It's not just about rescue. It's for any animal that needs any finance, like vet help.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the third one is called More Relief. That one is not yet 501c3. The first two are. That one's More Relief. We basically started that because my wife wanted to help collect food and feed families for Thanksgiving last year.
Yeah.
We did. I think there was like 3, 4, 5 families that got an entire meal. But then people started asking about, do we help with electric bills and things like that in the wintertime? And at that point, we didn't know what to say. So we're like, well, we can ask people. And then people started donating for that. And
Yeah.
then once we started getting money for like that kind of thing, we're like, okay, we need an umbrella. We don't want that coming in and out of our bank account.
Yeah.
So we started the More Relief Foundation. And basically, if you need your electric bill paid and we have the money, I will actually call your company and pay it myself. Like, we don't pass money around. It goes directly so that way we can track it, and we know, as bad as it is, we just assume everybody's going to drink it or smoke it
Right.
across the board. So we're not picking and choosing. If you ask for it, we're going to assume everybody's doing the wrong thing. So we pay the bills directly.
Wow.
Yeah. And at our studio, we actually have a little food pantry area for people to drop off food and pick up food. And we do have a refrigerator and a freezer, so we can take perishable items as
Oh
well,
wow.
which is
Cool.
yeah.
We'll have to donate to you this year and be like, here's some stuff. Use it for whatever you feel is necessary. Wow, you got a lot going on. So three nonprofits, two and a half at this point, a pet sitting business, more PT now, and then, life itself. This stuff going on. Cool.
Yeah. We're kind of busy, but we love it.
There you go. Hey, if you love it, it's not really work then. So it is what it is. So, but hey, John, it's been good having you on, man. It's been a good show. Anything else you want to share? Words of wisdom, lessons, life lessons about you when you work out. You want to make sure you're floating, levitating, and meditating. I don't know. Anything else you want to share?
This journey or you're like reach out to me and I'll at least sit down with you and go over what you're doing to see if it looks like it's the right fit for you. And if I'm not the right fit here, I can certainly connect you. I'm friends with a lot of trainers at gyms and on their own. And there's certainly enough people to go around. So it's not a competition. And I can point you in the right direction if I'm not the right one for you.
Oh, there you go. Cool. How can people contact you as well?
So we have a Facebook page. It's MPT Now Health and Fitness. And we're online at mptnow.com. And my email is john@mptnow.com. And that is probably
Connection issues. That's always fun. Okay, cool. We got you back. Awesome.
Oh, did I disappear on you?
I don't know. Connection's going in and out, so it's all good. But I'll make sure to get the information and post it somewhere so we have it that way it's there. So, but hey, John, it's been good, man. Thanks for being on. Thanks for reaching out to me randomly on Facebook too, as well. Because I was like, this guy kind of looks familiar. I don't know
Thanks for having me.
why. Let's
Thanks for
talk.
having me.
Cool, man. No problem. Thanks for being on. Appreciate it.
All right. You have a good one.